welcome back to the Backcountry Rookies podcast. So today you get me and Jordan, and we are going to talk about the non-essential essentials? Essentially non-essentials? What do you call that? What do you think?
Yeah, your non-essential essentials.
Non-essential essentials. Things that aren't like your boots and your backpack, but they're very, very important, and you're going to want to have them in your backpack when you're out there. Jordan and I laid out a few things. Everybody's a little bit different. In fact, I think Jordan and I had some differences on some of the stuff that we carry, that we prefer. A lot of it is preference. And we're just going to run through a few of these things. You know, we've already touched on a lot of the essential items. We talked about boots. We've talked about shelters. We've talked about food. Gosh, what else have we had on here? Backpacks is coming up. Optics is coming up.
Clothing we've done.
Clothing, the layering system, yeah. So we've talked about a lot of stuff, and we have some really good stuff coming up, but we both had our schedules aligned, so we wanted to get this thing recorded. I think one thing that is almost essential, right? It's right there at that level of, I use it every single time I go out, is a headlamp. So I think pretty much all of us run the Black Diamonds, if I'm not mistaken. Every time we go out, everybody's got a Black Diamond or something.
My first year, I tried the 1495 Energizer, and I remember Jeremy being behind me, and I didn't even need mine. His Black Diamond was just so much brighter.
Yeah.
So I think we had cell phone signal at camp, and I was like, yep, getting one now.
Yeah. So I have a couple of these. I have the Spot. I think this is what this one's called. And then I have another one's called a Revolt that's actually rechargeable, and you can plug it into like a backup battery pack or something to recharge it. And they're both, throw it into one of those. And I really like them. Either one, they're both super bright, and they both work good. And then even, we just released that show today. Another show was with Brad Brooks and the Kill Kit. And I actually keep one of those little, like, clip on the bill of your hat headlamps, you know, that weigh about an ounce. There's nothing to them. I keep one of those in my kill kit just for whatever reason. If these go dead and you're trying to carve up an animal or something, at least you got something. Yeah. But that light is so important that it's almost essential. What do you got? What's next?
So for me, probably not my essential, but my wife's essential is the Garmin with the SOS button. As I go out by myself quite a bit, and a lot of the places I go don't have cell phone signal, and it gives her that peace of mind to know that, you know, I can just flip the tab and hit the SOS, and someone's going to call her to see if I'm all right.
Yeah, so we've actually done a couple of shows about that too. If you remember the Alex Boki show, and then Steve Morgado, where his truck was literally burning on fire, and he had to use his SOS button. So we know that they work, and they're super handy. They're not that big. Yours is, I've got the little mini, and it's real small. It's about the size of this headlamp, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I looked at the mini, and then Amazon ran a sale on the SE, and I ended up with that. But the other thing that sold me, I have a buddy in northern Colorado that a few years ago was hunting with his dad, fell off the mountain, broke his leg, and they had to hit it for him to get airlifted out. Man.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool podcast to get somebody from Garmin, somebody from that call center that receives those calls on, to actually find out how that call is routed and what happens with it. That's something I want to do in the future, I think. But anyway, I totally agree with you. I have a Garmin when we figure out how to use them. That was fun last year, right?
I don't think we ever got that right.
Yeah.
Being able to text each other, but...
Yeah, well, we did when we finally figured out that they have an individual address to them, that email address. But anyway, they're super handy. Just having that, even if you don't turn the thing on, just having that SOS function is a little bit of peace of mind for that family member at home. So I agree. I think that's a good one. The next thing we'll move on to, water filtration and how to take care of your water when you're in the field. So I did a YouTube video about this, and you can check it out on our YouTube channel. This is, I'm trying to get it up here. I use a refillable bag that has a wide mouth on it where I can fill this up in a stream if I want to. This is a Osprey
Yeah.
hydraulics LT 2.5 liter, and I can fill this thing up. I fill it up with dirty water, and then I run a Sawyer Mini. There's several different Sawyer filters. This is the Mini, and I just run it in line with that drink tube. So it doesn't matter if I put clean water in this bag or if I put dirty water in the bag. It's always going to be clean when it hits. It tastes so good when it hits your lips.
I have that same setup, and that Mini's pretty cool because I think it's good for like 100,000 gallons, which is more than I'm ever going to use. But a pro tip, you need to put it in your sleeping bag if it's going to drop below freezing that night.
Yep, definitely.
Found that out the hard way.
Yep, and sometimes you may not even know that it got frozen, so it's always good to pull that pack inside of your shelter or whatever you're sleeping in, or if you're in a wall tent like we were in last year, nothing was going to freeze in that thing. So,
No, but it froze in the vestibule.
Yeah. But you got to be careful. I actually always have a backup one of those in my, so I always throw a tough box in my truck that's got a bunch of extra crap in it, crap that I'll probably never ever need. But I always keep an extra Sawyer filter in there in case that kind of thing happens, and I always have a replacement. Another thing I like to take is a water bottle. This is just an Nalgene wide mouth bottle, and I like these. So you can use this filtration system to fill up a water bottle if you want to. I like to do that just for whatever. If you're pouring it into a mountain house or a whatever meal, you don't have to try to drain it out of that bag. You can just dump it straight out of this water bottle. Or if you want to put flavored packets or something, you don't have to put a flavor packet inside of that bladder. You can dump it in here, and then it doesn't, you're not messing with it inside that bladder, especially if you got dirty water in the bladder. So,
and it's that much more water you can carry.
Yeah, then you just
if you're not sure when you're going to run across the next stream.
2 liters or something to it. So, yep, I like to do that. I think, water is important no matter what. If you're day hunting, it may not be that big of a deal to you because you can go back to the trucks and fill up. But either way, you're going to want to have, even if you're just carrying a couple of water bottles that are full of fresh water that you get every day. But I think when we were in Colorado last year, actually, I wasn't even filling up my water bladder, but I always had it in the pack in case.
Yeah, but last year was weird. I don't think it ever got above freezing, so we didn't drink as much water. But so the bear hunt in September, I was filling up. Ryan carried 2 2-liter Nalgenes on each side and his pack, and then my Nalgene and my bladder, and we refilled them every time.
Yeah. Let's see. What's next on our list here that we got?
So I'm going to be honest. I was never a big believer. The first couple of years I had trekking poles and I didn't use them. And then this year I was like, I'm going to use them because Gus's bear was heavy and I wasn't really feeling life that day. So I got these Black Diamond trekking poles, and I tell you what, it completely changes the way you carry weight on your back, being able to put that weight forward. And I didn't have to find an aspen tree to get a log for my teepee because I could just stick them in together, and then bam, there's my center pole for my teepee.
Yep, trekking poles are huge, super nice. I used them this last weekend. I was out on that hike here in New Mexico, and I'm not used to this elevation quite yet. So, and I don't have mountain legs yet either. So I took advantage of these trekking poles a lot, and I used the heck out of them because there were some really, really difficult parts on that hike. So it was nice to be able to go into 4-wheel drive and really crank myself up that mountain.
And the pronghorn hunt, you got a set of shooting sticks too now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, works perfect. He uses Black Diamond. I like these MSR Dynalocks. I just did a cool little video on the YouTube. That's what it's called on YouTube, and really, it'll be released by the time this comes out, so you can check that out. I really like these MSR poles. I've even bent those and bent them back into place, and they're still working great. So, yep.
Got the aluminum ones too. I got a set of graphite also, but I like these aluminum ones. Feel a little more sturdy to me.
Yeah. The next thing that you're going to want to look into and get, however you want to get it, if you want to try to go ultralight or if you want to try to go comfortable, and that is sleeping bag, sleeping pad, and a pillow. I have a Nemo Tensor. This is the long wide model. I don't know what this thing weighs, to be honest. It's not very heavy at all, but it's really comfortable. The only thing with this is it's a little bit crinkly. It's kind of loud when it's all blown up and you're laying on it. I'm actually going to look at Xped makes I think it's called a Sin Mat. Can't remember what it is, but that thing looks really nice, and I've heard a lot of good stuff about that. So I'm probably going to get rid of this. Anyway, look into sleeping pads. There's a whole array of things that you can do. You can get R-valued ones that are super high, so they're very warm. But it is essential. You're not going to want to sleep on the ground, especially if it's starting to get a little bit chilly. You definitely don't want to sleep on the ground because that'll just suck that heat right out of you, and then you're frozen solid. I take a pillow. This is an Xped pillow, and let me show you how big it is. This is big. This pillow is big compared to some of the other ones. It's about the size of a soda can.
But it's worth it if you're a side sleeper
to
have
that. This thing is super nice. I love this pillow, and it has like this this pillowcase on the outside of it that's real soft.
I think
this is a luxury, absolutely. It is an absolute luxury, but I take it with me everywhere I go. And then shelter. We already talked to Seek Outside when we did the shelter show. This is the Seek Aeolus. This is going to be what I run early season, and it's just a trekking pole tent setup. It's real lightweight, so I try to keep that with me. There's tons of options for tents. Jordan and I both run Seeks. We both have Cimarron TPs, and then I have this Aeolus just for early season stuff. Sleeping bag. I just got this. I'm super excited about it. I got it from Go Hunt. This is the Western Mountaineering Versalite 10 degree, and this thing is ridiculous. I can't wait to put this thing to use. But looking at a good sleeping bag is going to go a long way. So
yeah, absolutely.
When the first year that we went out, I started with an Army sleeping bag, and I want to say that heavy Army sleeping bag is rated at 20 degrees. I think I don't remember that for sure, but I think it's at 20 degrees, and it weighs about 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds or something. Just the one layer of it. This weighs less than 2 pounds, if I remember right. It's almost floating away. It's so light. Look at that. Did you see that? I also have a quilt, and the quilt is I'm not a huge quilt fan when it's cold outside, but I really do like to use the quilt when it's like that early season stuff, when it's going to be 60 degrees at night and it's still warm outside. There's some benefit to it because a 10-degree sleeping bag in 50 and 60 degrees is pretty toasty. So that quilt I just leave it open. I almost use it as a blanket instead of a sleeping bag, and then pair that up with a lightweight shelter, and you're in a pretty good spot. Basically what I'm saying is there's lots of options out there for that, but you're going to want a sleeping pad. You need something to sleep on to protect you from that ground temperatures. Pillow isn't at all essential. It is for me. I won't go anywhere. If I'm sleeping, I'm not going anywhere without this Xped pillow.
Essentially non-essential.
Essentially non-essential. And then, of course, shelter we've already talked about, and some sort of good sleeping bag or quilt if that's your thing. And get out there.
Yeah. While we're on sleeping bags, so by the time Ryan listens to this, it'll be too late. But Jeremy slept in that sleeping bag that I got him last night.
Yeah.
So it's now used.
Uh-oh.
But another thing, and this was just kind of sitting on my table because I take it with me everywhere from the mountain to work and stuff, is just a good power bank. Because you can get a good charge on your phone. You can charge up your headlamp. You know, there's so many different things you can do with it. And you don't have to go expensive. This was $30 on Amazon, and I can charge my phone, I think, 3.5 times on it.
And then it's got a solar panel, right?
It does. It does. So it's one of the 10,000 ones. So it takes quite a bit longer to do it, but I mean, you can just clip it on the outside of your pack. It's waterproof. It also charges it wirelessly if that's something you wanted to do. So
That's pretty nice. I have a backup power bank, but it isn't solar and it doesn't have a cool magnet. I may have to look at one of those. I always carry one with me too because last year we were carrying cameras and stuff with us, and we were goofing around on phones a lot, and it's nice to have it, right? It's nice to have that extra backup power.
This one was $30, and it's lasted 2 years now.
Yeah. Cool. What's next? Power bank. What do we got?
So another thing I'm a big fan of is some type of little stove. This is the Jetboil Flash. It's real simple. It has a self-igniter. I do recommend you still carry a lighter because inevitably that's going to go out. Happens every time. But there's just something about being able to eat a warm meal at the end of the day, and that first hot cup of coffee in the morning when you get to your spot. That it's a real morale booster, in my opinion.
I think so too. I don't go anywhere without my Jetboil. Even if, like, day hiking, just going out for this past weekend, I had my Jetboil with me. It goes
everywhere. And it doesn't have to be a Jetboil. I've used Primus, Camp Chef, Jetboil.
Yeah.
To be honest, they've all worked about
I have
the
an
same.
MSR Pocket Rocket.
Yeah.
Pocket Rocket 2, something like that. And I did a test between the Jetboil and the Pocket Rocket 2. Because the Pocket Rocket collapses down a lot smaller. So if you're really trying to be that ultra lightweight guy, that might be a good option for you. And in the video that we did, it's on the YouTube channel too, I compare those things head to head. I boil the same amount of water. We talk about weights and size and all of that stuff and different cups and options that you can use for that MSR. Because you could take that MSR Pocket Rocket and get a titanium cup, and you can be pretty dang lightweight if you wanted to go that option.
Yeah.
Personally, I have both, and I use the Jetboil. I take the Jetboil with me no matter what. When Neil came out to Colorado a couple years ago with us, though, he carried around that MSR Pocket Rocket. He really liked that thing. He was pretty impressed with it. So
I wasn't cool enough to get one from Derek.
you missed out.
I know, I missed that box.
Yeah. Mountain Hunter Box. There you go. Check out Mountain Hunter Box if you've never heard of it. We'll give Derek a little plug. I was talking to him the other day. Man, he's a police officer. He's out there running around the streets near Chicago kicking ass right now. And whatever. Check it out. Mountain Hunter Box.
If you're listening, I haven't forgotten about your trail cams.
I was just thinking about that today, man. I was thinking, I bet Jordan's not going to get that done. I'm going to have to go up there and get those here pretty soon. So I'll try to get up there.
I was out that way earlier today, and I was like, I should just swing through there. But work.
Adulting. Adulting gets in the way. Well, what else do we got that's kind of essential? I got my bino harness sitting here.
Yeah.
But if you're elk hunting, you'll hear it a lot of times. It may not be essential. I carry binos with me everywhere I go. I like the FHF gear, bino harness, and rangefinder pouch and stuff.
I got the Outdoor Vision here.
Yeah, we just did a cool show with Tyler from T&K Hunting Gear. He makes a really nice little setup that, it's a really, really nice little setup. I like to take my binos with me wherever I go. Even if I'm just going out hiking, I'll throw my bino harness on. For one thing, it's train how you fight or whatever. That's what we learned in the Army, right? Train how you fight.
Yeah.
Train how you hunt, I guess. Train to hunt. But I just like to have them with me. I'll stop and look. I was actually, from where I was at on the top of the mountain last weekend, I pulled my binos up and I could see my house. So I thought that, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. So I played around, and I know there's a lot of critters that run around on that mountain out there and just kind of looking around for stuff. But I always take it with me. I think one last thing that is probably important to talk about, two more things. One thing, butt care, right? You got to take care of your butt while you're out there. Couple different options that people can take. You can take baby wipes. You can take toilet paper. I usually take a little bit of each. I keep kind of I don't know, call it what you want, butt care kit, shit kit, poop kit, whatever you want to call it. But I keep everything usually. This was just kind of thrown together. But it's got some hand sanitizer and just sort of necessities that you might need if something goes wrong,
Right.
which happens. So I've heard it happens.
I do that. I have a little
Yeah.
first aid kit.
No, I keep extras, and then of course the baby wipes are great for handling business. And then if whatever cleaning up after you eat food, or if you're getting ready to eat food, and you've got some baby wipes right there, you can clean your hands up. You can get them good and clean before you start digging in. If you're a guy like me who forgets their stupid spoon, then
spoon.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a necessity.
Like me who forgets their spoon, you may be hands deep into some biscuits and gravy or something like that, and trying to eat them like that. So, but that stuff's important. First aid kits are important. I don't have mine with me right here. Some people want to have as much security as they can, right? And there's some people that will literally take a first aid kit that looks like this shelter. And then there's guys like me who, I don't take hardly anything, man. I've seen a lot of terrible things in the Army, and I've seen them get fixed with very minimal products.
And that's what I was saying. I keep a little tube of like triple antibiotic. I keep Benadryl in case something bites me or something and I start having an allergic reaction. And then tape. Everything else, I can pretty much fix with those things. You know the medical tape, because you can make that into a tourniquet. You know, if you need to. It's all exactly in the name. It's first aid. It's just to get you to primary care.
Yep. And that's exactly it. I don't carry much more than that. I carry a couple of Band-Aids just for small cuts and dings and nicks and whatever.
BC powder.
Some BC powder. Usually, I don't have it on here right now. It's actually on my other trekking poles, but I keep tape wrapped around my trekking poles, some duct tape, just as a placeholder for it. And I use duct tape a lot. Moleskin's kind of nice to have around if you get a blister or something. You need to take care of it. Luco tape.
Regular med tape.
Yeah. And I keep...
something else that you may want to carry. I always carry 20, 25 feet of it. 550 cord.
Yep. 550 cord's good to have. I keep extra 550 cord in my kill kit that if I need it for tying up a quarter or something like that, it's there. But I kind of think of that as dual purpose. If I need it, I can go to my kill kit and pull it out if it's an emergency. I'm probably not going to be trying to kill an animal if I'm worried about. If I'm using 550 cord to try to take care of something, then it's probably pretty bad. So
yeah. But I mean, I use it primarily if two people are in my Cimarron to tie the sides out further.
Yeah.
Used it for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, it's handy. It's more of a handy thing than a first aid thing, I think.
Yeah. No, I wasn't talking about it for first aid.
Just extra stuff that you keep?
In general, I mean, I guess you could make a tourniquet out of it or something if you had to.
Yeah. I like to keep an extra pair of socks and an extra pair of underwear in my bag, but I'll be honest with you, I've never used it. I've never pulled out my extra pair of socks and put them on, but I've also never really had soaking wet feet and been in the situation where I needed it. So I guess that's a where you hunt type of place. I could have, when we were hunting Oregon last year, when we were bear hunting out in Oregon, there was a couple of times where my feet were soaked, but I knew that we were on the way back to the truck. And I just kind of dealt with it until I got back to the truck. And then, once we got back, then we changed out there. But it wasn't something I really needed at the, out in the middle of the backcountry somewhere. So that's nice to have, though. It's nice to keep around. Food. I got a little pack of food here. If you go back in this gear series, we talked to Cody Rich from the Backcountry Fuel Box. But I just keep a little bit of stuff in my pack, unless I know I'm doing overnighters. I take stuff I like. I don't try to be all good. Kyle Camp's been on here sometimes if you're really worried about health and you're really worried about that kind of stuff. Kyle is awesome. He's given me a lot of great ideas, but I take Spam everywhere I go. I'm the Spam guy.
I take tuna everywhere, and I always come back with, I don't eat enough while I'm out there. I probably eat about 50% of what I should.
I caught myself doing that this weekend. That was my first big hike. It was almost 10 miles. I did like 9.75 miles, 3,000 feet of elevation gain. and then lost. And I probably should have. I want to say it took me about 6 hours, and I actually probably should have sat down and ate a meal halfway through that because I was smoked. I was absolutely smoked. Instead, I ate some snacks and some nut butter and whatever, and I ate enough stuff to get me off the mountain. But I also knew I was coming home that night. I think if I knew that I was going to be out there and just
if you had to do it again the next
keeping
day,
after it the next day, I probably would have been taking in a lot more calories. But I knew I was coming home and having a big old hamburger or something when I got home.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the non-essential essentials, I think is what we'll call this show.
I like it.
There's a whole bunch to it. We've got gear lists posted up on our website. If you go to backcountryrookies.com, it's in the menu on the top, and you click the drop downs. We need to be better about updating those for sure. I haven't updated them in a while. In fact, Scott Daniels sent me one not too long ago I need to throw up there. But
and if you just have questions, email us team@backcountryrookies.com or hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not gear experts by any means, but I'll tell you, I've gone through a lot of different stuff, and I do that on purpose. I try new stuff so that I can talk to people about different things, and I've done that with backpacks. I've done it with several different items in my packs, and I feel like I can talk about some things, pros and cons, and whatever else. But those are the essentials, right? Listen to this whole gear series. It's been really cool. Like we said, we had layering systems on with Sitka, and that was super important. Layering systems, I think, are great. Jordan and I both use Sitka gear, and I've got mine really, really dialed in to the way that I like it. And I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to change anything about it. I'm pretty happy with the way it is. So, and then, we also, so we had Sitka on. We had on Seek for the shelters. And then we had Cody Rich on for food. And Corey Jacobson came on to talk about education, which, in my opinion, is the biggest investment that you can make. That's the most important thing that you can invest your time and money into. It's cool to have shelters, and it's cool to have all this cool gear, but
between Elk 101 or just using Go Hunt to figure out what units you're going to draw.
Yeah.
So I ended up drawing both units I put in for because I did that research beforehand to figure out, what my odds were.
Yep. Go Hunt's a super good tool. Yep. All right, man. I think we'll call it, and that's good stuff. Like Jordan said, if you got questions, shoot us a DM. Team@backcountryrookies.com is the email address. Backcountry Rookies everywhere you go. We're trying to build our YouTube page. Go over there and check that out. We've been putting up a lot of these. This podcast actually will be on YouTube, so you'll be able to. I guess during the course of this show, we were both holding stuff up to the camera and assuming that you could see it. So if you watch it on YouTube, you can see it. If you don't, well then you can't. So
you should have thought about that and probably described stuff a little better.
Well, they need to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, check it out. Subscribe and like.
Unless you're driving.
And then just
pull over.
Get a window mount or something and put your phone up in the window.
And nobody does that.
Never, ever. All right, dude. Hey, we'll call it right here, man, and I'll talk to you. I'm sure I'll probably talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right, out of here.